It's the POPP-Cast. People of Phnom Penh. With me, MC Luke. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Pop, the people of Phnom Penh. I believe this is episode 4, if my memory serves me correctly. We are 4 deep. Thank you to everyone who has joined me so far. So far, we've had Rafe, the boxing trainer, join us. We've had MC Leisha, the rapper actress. We've had singer Summer from Cambodia join us. And this week, we are blessed with Mr. Andy Brouwer, who's not only very much enthusiastic about Cambodia, very much like all of us who live here. He is a people of Phnom Penh. He lives here in the city, but especially when it comes to Khmer arts and culture, especially Khmer culture in itself, and artifacts, especially Ankorian artifacts. Andy is a very, very well-established independent researcher on the topic of Khmer artifacts, culture, arts, etc. And we're going to delve into that today. And without holding on any longer, I'll bring Andy onto the stage. Hello, Andy.
Hi, Luke. Nice to see you.
How you doing? Nice to see
Very
you
well.
too. How's good. How's your day been?
Not too bad, but hopefully it's going to get better now.
I'm sure it will. How? Because you're in Phnom Penh, like myself. You're awesome. Well, welcome to the Pop. You are our 4th guest here on
Thank
the people of Phnom Penh. Again, we like to dive into things just about what people do here in the Kingdom of Wonder and what a wonderful kingdom it is. And yourself knowing full well, because you've been here for quite some time, I believe. What year was it you first came here?
First came on my first visit in 1994. So just after the UN elections. So 30 years ago this year.
30 years ago. So that, wow, 94.
94.
I can
and
only
then
imagine.
Yeah, and then I came back every year on my holiday from England, which is obviously where I'm from. So I came back 13 years on the trot, and then I moved here in 2007. So I've been here 17 years.
So your initial visit here in 94, were you kind of doing the what we like to call it, the banana pancake loop? Were you traveling around Southeast Asia and just happened across Cambodia,
No.
or did you plan to come to the kingdom?
Yeah, I came to I'd been interested in Cambodia since 1979, and it was my only focus. So I came here, my first time outside of Europe, and I came here for 5 days. A wild adventure in 1994. And
I mean, it wasn't even a kingdom then.
No, it wasn't.
Cambodia.
And then I was hooked. So I came every year after that, and eventually moved here. So
amazing. And you moved here in 07.
Yes.
Okay, so I first came here myself in 09. I mean, even 09 to now, it's a completely different place. But I can only imagine from 94 what it looked like. I mean, how would you describe Cambodia back in 1994? I mean,
Phnom Penh, it was gravel streets, no sidewalks. Mind you, are there any sidewalks today? But literally holes where you fell down into the sewer, no street lights, many disabled people around the markets and on the streets, very few cars, mostly remorques or bicycles and motorbikes.
For those who don't know, remorques are like a long trailer tuk-tuk, was probably the best way to explain it. So you literally, I mean, when I said, I came in 09, and I think even in 09 there was only a couple of taller buildings or big buildings in Phnom Penh. And I mean, since then, I mean, just since 09, in 15 years, I mean, it's changed so much. The country has come such a long way. And yourself, really you are a huge advocate for the country, especially when it comes to Khmer arts and culture. As I'm wearing my appropriate shirt today,
I saw that,
from Asura World. I think you know the Asura guys. They do a beautiful collection with the National Museum of T-shirts. They were kind enough to send me one. So you initially were interested, if I'm correct, because of a man by the name of John Pilger.
John Pilger, yeah.
John Pilger, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, he's a very well-known British and Australian journalist, and he did a video, one of the first videos after the fall of the Khmer Rouge in 1979, and he called it Year Zero, and it became a worldwide smash hit documentary. Yeah. And that's
it was an ITV production, I think.
Yeah, that's what got me interested. And then he did some follow-up videos, and I really got into it then. And then I realized that Cambodia wasn't just the result of the Khmer Rouge, but it also had this amazing history, culture. And when I first came here in '94 and onwards, that was my focus, was really the culture and the history. And I would go out into the wilds of Cambodia looking for ancient temples and things like that.
Yeah. Awesome. And that has kind of been, well, okay. Before we get onto that bit, you've done quite a few, you've dabbled in quite a few things. Like yourself and we met on the set of Banged Up Abroad or Locked Up Abroad. Yeah. And you were working with Nick, Mr. Nick Ray, and Hanuman Pictures. You're working them as a production manager, fixer, jack of all trades.
Sure.
Yep. So you're working in the TV and film industry over here for a while. And then you moved into
15 years.
15 years. And then you moved into your other passion,
football.
Yeah.
I've always been involved in football, for playing and writing about it for more than 50 years. Mm-hmm. And when I came to Cambodia in 2007, I was searching for football. So I eventually found it, and I started I was the football reporter for the Phnom Penh Post for a year and a half.
There you are.
Okay. Right. That's me. At a recent game. So I was the football reporter for the Phnom Penh Post for a while, and then in 2010, I joined Phnom Penh Crown as their media officer.
Okay.
And I did that for the next 7 years. Nowadays, I'm just a fan, but
avid fan. You go regularly. You go a lot. I see your Facebook. You're a lot of games, which is really, really cool.
Well, you see my
they are
Facebook,
your team.
The photographers always pick on me because I'm a foreigner. So
yeah,
and
I know the feeling.
And I'm quite loud. So
it's good.
Yeah. So
there's a bit of passion.
Football has always been my passion. And music actually has always been my passion. But Cambodia has been the overriding passion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that for a lot of us, I mean, we come here for either be a short break or just a visit. And then it's like, oh, there's so much more. I like to say, I mean, it's probably one of the last places in Southeast Asia that is still very Southeast Asian. Through and through, you know, whereas I think you can go to places like Bangkok or Ho Chi Minh, for example, and you could easily think you're in New York or London. You know, it's very easy. It's very, very westernized nowadays. Yeah. Whereas Cambodia, for me, still has that Southeast Asian charm. It's an incredible part of the world, and yourself are doing incredible things for the arts and culture community. Just to give people a bit of an idea what Andy does, here's a picture. Can you help explain this one, Andy? This is a recent discovery, I think.
This is a recent discovery at a temple called Prasat Bante Pray, which is in the Angkor Park. And they were basically fixing a doorway, I think. So they dug down a little bit and found this, what they call a temple guardian. It's got a name, Divarapala, and this was like just a couple of feet under the surface. And to be honest, I think if you and that's another Divarapala.
Yes, just to give people a better idea of what a Divarapala looks like.
That's just come back from the United States. And if you dig down at many temples, I think you're going to find a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I do you think a lot of this is a lot of the most even more recent discoveries due to the effects of the LiDAR system that they they used
Sure.
in recent years. Yeah. Again, that was a huge, monumental discovery, and kind of rewrote history in a way
Yeah.
for Angkor, because I mean, the idea before was the civilization died out due to maybe a drought or something like this.
Sure.
But the LiDAR system proved that their aqueducts and everything, this couldn't have been the situation.
Yeah.
What's your take on it, Andy?
Okay. I think it's just a series of factors, not helped by the fact that they had a very greedy neighbor who kept invading. So eventually they forsook the Angkor temples and moved down south.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
there was probably drought. There was probably lots of rain and lots of drought and lots of rain and lots of drought.
But there were
yeah,
leaps and bounds ahead, technology-wise and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, what they found, what they're still finding, as we're
Yeah,
seeing.
LiDAR was a revolutionary tool. And the guy who really kicked it off was a guy called Damien Evans. Unfortunately, he's passed away very much too early, quite recently. So that's a great loss to Cambodia's community.
Oh, what a shit. He was quite young.
He was quite young, yeah.
Yeah. That was
early 40s, I think.
Yeah, because this was only in recent years they carried out the mass scale LiDAR.
Yeah.
And discovered all these extra elements to the Angkor system and the temples. It just goes on so much bigger. I mean, it's bigger than Phnom Penh. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
a huge place. And
Up
this
to
is
a
around
million people.
900,000 years.
Yeah, well, yeah, and up to during the 12th century, there was probably 1 million people living in and around Angkor, which at that time was dramatically larger than anywhere else, like London, etc. London was tiny compared to Angkor, so it's just an incredible story for the Cambodians to feel, that pride and that passion about their own history.
Yeah, and it is incredible for those who haven't been to Angkor Wat. I mean, the first time you go, it's mind blowing. The second time you go, it's even more, because you notice more and more finer details the more you go. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have been more than, I don't know, 40 times, I think, because I was a guide back in the day with a tour company. And I used to go along and to go along with the Khmer guides, and I used to help with the foreigners. And yet every time I went, I was just like, well, I didn't notice that before.
Yeah,
even
definitely.
to the point there's some, I mean, it's not good, but it's graffiti from the 1700s.
Yeah.
Like people in like French explorers' names engraved and stuff like
Portuguese,
this.
probably. In the 1700s, it'll be Portuguese.
As the Portuguese.
Let's blame them.
All right, awesome. So nowadays, as you say, they're discovering things more and more and more.
Yeah.
And yourself, you've recently, I believe last year, you've quit work and gone full power into your passion of helping and restoring artifacts to their rightful place from around the world. Recently, you took part in a interview with the Phnom Penh Post regarding, what was it, 27 looted artifacts were returned to the kingdom. Was it last month or the month before? Sorry, Andy.
Yeah, very recently. But actually, there's been another delivery a couple of weeks ago and in total 70 came from the United States. And then we had a welcome ceremony with the Prime Minister at the Peace Palace last week.
Would it be this one right here?
Yes, that's it. And they put on show some of the 70, and they are incredibly dramatic sculptures. They are massive. Most of them are larger than life, and and despite some of them being broken, they are fantastic to see. And they will be heading to the National Museum very soon. Some are already on show, but actually the National Museum doesn't really have enough space at the moment. So yeah, despite getting all of these sculptures back into the country, they can't put them all on show. So they pick the best ones.
Is it due to the sheer size of these things, or is literally
dramatically bigger, larger than life? One of the sculptures you showed a minute ago of the Divarapala, the tall guy,
Yep,
that
we'll
would
bring him
be
back.
2 meters in height. Yes, with his feet, he would be 2 meters in height. And actually, that particular statue has got a skirt or a sampok around its waist, and it's got carvings on there that I don't think anybody has ever seen before. So they're getting back these sculptures, and they're seeing things they've never seen before. It's got amazing markings on the skirt.
Just the detailing, and considering it's almost 1,000 years old, to still have these intricate details is
Yep.
absolutely incredible. I mean, this is just
Unfortunately,
yeah.
Unfortunately, you can tell it's a looted statue because it's missing its hands and its feet, and this is a very, not an easy way, but it's an obvious identification that this statue will have been stolen, because they take off the arms, they take off the feet, and they take off the head to ease the transportation.
Oh, I did not know this.
Sometimes the head will be put back on, or it will be sold separately. And this is this was happening from the 1960s onwards. It's stopped now, but up to the 2000s, and a bit more, it was happening. So,
Actively.
and unfortunately,
Was
that's
this
the
by
problem.
just basically just what would you call it? Culture poachers, I suppose.
Yeah, looters, thieves,
Looters, yeah,
vagabonds.
culture poachers, vagabonds is what I'm going to call it. And so this other one I've got here, this is another example of a piece that's come back.
Yeah,
And
the
this
one
is
on the right.
Skanda.
Yeah, the one on the right is the one that's come back. The one on the left is very old. Okay. Yeah, this is Skanda on a peacock. And this came from the capital in the 10th century called Kokay, which is 2 hours away from Siem Reap. And that statue and other statues from Kokay are amazing. And why are they amazing? Because they're the intricate detail, but also the size. Their size is much bigger than any other of the normal Angkor statues.
And where do they go, Andy? I mean, once they're looted, I mean,
Yep.
don't be wrong. I think I've read your article, and I've done as much research as I can. I mean, we're from Cambodia's understanding, around 100 museums across the world
Yep.
are currently holding Khmer artifacts, and this is just the museums. I mean, how many must be in private collectors' homes? I mean, how are they tracked down? What is the process?
Right.
I mean, how do they get returned?
Yeah, I would say there are thousands, going on tens of thousands of actual sculptures. Now, they may be a large male figure or female figure, or they might be a much smaller figure. But as you said, there's Khmer artifacts in about 105 museums around the world that we're aware of. Then there's a number of art galleries that have also got Cambodian pieces. There are a number of sales galleries that sell Khmer art online, but a lot of those are probably fake.
Yeah,
which is another thing to come on to. And then you've got private collections. Private collections is the unknown.
And this is the probably the big problem, really, which
What happened was that gangs of looters, not just an individual guy, it takes a lot of people to carry off one of those large, heavy statues. So gangs of looters would go to these remote temples. They would cut a statue down, put it on an ox cart, take it to the nearest town where they would put it on a vehicle, and then they would head for the Thai border. And they would cross the border very easily, not a problem. And there would be like Mr. Big waiting on the other side of the border, who would take charge of the sculpture and arrange for it to be shipped out, whether it went to America, England, Hong Kong,
Anywhere.
Tokyo, whatever. Most of the stuff was going to England and America.
Yeah. And do we, like, for example, are there in this kind of, I don't know, area, are there whistleblowers? Like, are there people who have gone into like a certain person's house and seen these things? Is there a number you can call? Like, say you walk into a billionaire's mansion and you see an Ankorian artifact that probably shouldn't be there. What should you do? I mean, how are these things
Yeah.
on that? How are they tracked down in this sense? I mean,
Okay.
these personal collections.
There isn't a number to call.
Yeah.
But what's happened is, you talk about whistleblowers. So some of the looters themselves, they've turned Queen's evidence, as we used to call it in England.
Okay.
And they've given information to the Cambodian government, who have been able to follow up and track down some of these things. They also got the hard drive of the Mr. Big in this scenario, who was a guy called Douglas Latchford. And he died, and his daughter decided to give his hard drive, which had all the information who he sold and gave these pieces to. And so the Cambodian government have done an amazing job in being able to track down where a lot of these pieces are. So the success.
And Latchford, was he English or American?
He was an Indian-born English guy.
Indian-born English guy.
He had homes in London and Bangkok.
Okay.
And what we're seeing at the moment, the return of these lots of statues, is because the Cambodian government have been working particularly well with the American government and the English government to go knock on people's doors and say, these things are stolen. What do you want to do about it? And if they say, I'll give them back, great. If not, then the Americans particularly will take action.
Okay, because the recently, the one we just discussed, the return of was around, it was like $2.4 million worth of artifacts. It was a joint venture between the American, what would you say, the customs agency, or
it's Homeland Security Investigations and the Southern District of New York, particularly.
Okay. And
they have an amazing
Cambodia as a joint venture. Amazing.
Yeah, they have an amazing relationship with the Cambodian government.
Amazing. I mean, so this is the most recent one, and we have more to look forward to coming back.
I think we've got another 76 coming back from London very soon. So somebody has mentioned to me, one of the problems, because these things are so big, is the transportation. Because somebody's got to pay for it, and the
insurance for sure.
And insurance. And Cambodia's not awash with money, so there needs to be a lot of wheeling and dealing to be able to get these things back.
Yeah. And are there foundations for things like this? Is there a foundation?
There's one foundation being set up recently. Yeah, there's one foundation, but they're trying to encourage wealthy Cambodians to partake, because it's for the good of Cambodia.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's all positive news as of recently, which is great, which is really, really good. So, but at the same time, as you said, you still think, or everyone knows, there are still thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces missing. But as we said earlier, there are still many, many being discovered. This is a picture of you. Where was this, Andy?
That one?
Yes.
That was last week.
Okay, and what summit was this?
So that was the Peace Palace Welcome Home ceremony, headed by the Prime Minister Hun Manet. And I was fortunately invited by the Ministry of Culture to attend. And it's a celebration, really, of all the successful work that the government have been doing. And rightly so,
And exactly, rightfully so. No, it's excellent. It's so, when you sent me the article, the Phnom Penh Post article, I only recently, I mean, I get the Khmer news. I don't really read much other than the actual Khmer news. So when they find new discoveries at the actual temples, I'm like, wow, how are they still finding more? But to know so much is being returned to the
Yeah.
kingdom as well is incredible, because the heritage, the Ankorian history is, I mean, the country should be so proud of it. It's so sad that so much of it was stolen, destroyed. I mean, what happened last week with the storm was broke my heart when the tree came down. That was terrible. That was heartbreaking in itself. I mean, and that was just, nature, man.
Yeah.
But there's so much history, and it's not just Angkor Wat, which
No.
I think people need to understand before they come to Cambodia. It's not just Angkor Wat. There's there's Koh Ker. There's I'll let you go, Andy. You just
Sure.
rail off some temples.
As I said, fortunately, when I used to come every year, that was my main target, was to get out into the countryside and visit all these remote temple sites. And there are possibly 4,000 or 5,000 temples in Cambodia, spread around. So in addition to the Angkor Park, which is fantastic in itself because it's got Angkor Wat, the Bayon, Angkor Thom, Thap Prom. Just outside is Bante Saray, but then you've got...
They filmed Tomb Raider.
Yes, which I have a story about, but I won't go into that now because I'm just talking about temples. So Koh Kay itself has got 70 temples. And then you've got, in more remote, is Prakan Kompong Svai. And then you go up north to Prevahir, which is a fantastic temple as well. And then you go towards the Thai border and you've got Bante Chamar. And then you go down to Battambang, you've got a series of temples. Everywhere you go in Cambodia, besides one province, Pai Lin, every province has got temples in it.
I think we need to mention, though, Pai Lin is the tiniest province in Cambodia. It's so small. Really great honey, though. Fantastic honey.
Okay.
That's where I buy my honey from. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's very important for people before they come to Cambodia. It's not just Angkor Wat. It's not just Bayon. It's not just Thap Prom. It's not just the temples that are very catered to for tourists.
Sure.
For those who want to, especially nowadays, these more remote temples that probably back in the day, Andy, I mean, how did you get to these places? Because there wasn't exactly a road.
Motorbike. That was it.
Yeah. But nowadays, I think these lesser known temple structures are more accessible.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So you can get there by car, you can get there by foot, etc. Get there by bus.
So, for example, Koh Kay has just been added to the UNESCO World Heritage List last year. And as I said, Koh Kay has got 70 temples. Now, if you go there, most people go there for a couple of hours. They'll see 3 or 4 temples and then come back to Siem Reap because they do it in a day. But you can stay overnight. You can do various circuits. And Koh Kay is a very special period of time in Cambodian history because it effectively only lasted for 20 years in the 10th century. And in those 20 years, they built 70 temples and they built the biggest and best sculptures of the Ankorian period. It was just an amazing time. It must have been an amazing time to be alive.
Koh Kay reminds me. I've never been, sadly. I still yet to go, but it reminds me. It's more reminiscent, It's lesser reminiscent of typical Ankorian era structures, and it looks like the one in Mexico.
Yeah. Looks like a Mayan pyramid. Yes.
It's like strikingly similar.
Yes.
Absurdly similar.
Yes.
But I'll let, if everyone wants to search Koh Kay, and then they search the one in Mexico, which is called Texu. I forget how to pronounce it.
Yeah, it's a
My
tricky
Spanish
word.
is not so good. Texuecha, I think. My Spanish is terrible. I'm sorry to any Spanish people listening. But yeah, they are strikingly similar.
Right.
But yeah, there is so much to see now, and so much coming back to the country. And I think at this moment in time, we're going through an era of real national pride, and people, everyone doing their bit, be it with the artifacts, be it culture, art. In my world as well, Kunkamai. I mean, there's 20 rings now. I mean,
Oh,
I think
right. Okay.
a year ago there was maybe 4 or 5 a week. Now you can go to 20 fights a week if you really want to, and that's 20 fights of 7 bouts. So it really is just recently this huge celebration of Cambodia and Khmer culture and history. And
Can I just say,
please.
it's the same with football, because each of the teams in the Premier League have their own stadium. Most of them have got lights, floodlights, and we've seen the same improvement year on year in Cambodian football as you've seen in Kunkamai and in other spheres of the country.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so great. I mean, and for those who want to, like, for the football, Andy, how much is it to go and see a game?
$2.
There you go. And like the Kunkamai, if you want to go and see the national sport of Cambodia, if you're in Cambodia, if you want to go and see the football, it's $2. If you want to come and see Kunkamai, most of the events are free to attend. And it's these. So we have the 2 most popular sports. It's still the most popular being soccer, still in Cambodia. Yeah. The second being Kunkamai, which other people will know as in Thailand, Muay Thai. Here, Kunkamai. Originating from Ankorian era. It is an Ankorian martial art. As much of the world like to call it something else, it is and did stem from Cambodia. I mean, I'm not going to argue with an etching on a temple because it's pretty obvious.
I saw actually a group of Kunkamai fighters went to Angkor this week, and specifically were shown the carvings, the bas reliefs on the Bayon and other temples of the fighting. And this is what they do today. So it's
I mean, exactly the same
a fantastic
moves.
link.
It's incredible. I mean, a lot of the same moves that they're using today, you see these exactly the same moves. The elbows, the knee strikes are engraved on the temples, and it's just an amazing thing. And that it's still alive, and the country has been through so much, as we know. For those who don't know, do a little bit of research. It's quite heartbreaking, but to have gone through so much and to still have a grip on who they are and their history is quite astounding. And which that's one thing I really do love about the Cambodian people, is this pride in their past, even though it is so long ago, but they really do their best every single day to try and reconnect with it. Be it through Apsara, be it through a beautiful t-shirt such as this, be it through your job, be it through fighting. It's all culture driven, which is fantastic, which we don't see much of anymore in Southeast Asia.
No, it's the country has come on great strides, to be honest. The improvement I see in the football, because I used to work for Phnom Penh Crown, so I used to work in football, and it's improving year on year. I just think it's wonderful. I get a lot of young Cambodians, so I just went past 30,000 followers on my Facebook, and I think most of them are young Cambodians who, because I post every day, primarily on sculptures, but temples and other cultural stuff, then I think they just refer to my page a lot and then send me questions or send me comments. And I think it's great. I write in English because a lot of them do speak English now. A lot of young Cambodians speak good English.
Fantastic English, yeah.
Yeah, and then I also do a bit of Google Translate as well. So that which isn't great, but it's 75-80% correct. So they get an idea of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think it's Google Translate, especially for Khmer. I mean, Khmer's got another fun fact about Cambodia: the longest alphabet in the world.
Right.
So Google Translate doesn't. The translations can be quite funny sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, it's really cool. I mean, especially hearing that the younger generation are reaching out and trying to get back in touch with their heritage and using you as a resource is awesome. And yes, I would like to reiterate, in all of Southeast Asia, the Khmers speak the best English.
Agreed.
It's exceptional English. Even my Cambodian friend who says, "Oh, no, my English is really bad." This is like, well, you just worded that perfectly. So
Yeah.
you just said my English is really bad. Most people say my English is not so good. It's like you just said
Yeah.
it perfectly grammatically correct. So you're lying to me. So what's next then, Andy? You said there's another return of artifacts, and then what's next on your agenda?
Well, for me, because I've stopped working my full time. I worked for 45 years full time, and I felt that I could do with a break. So now I just do my research. So I post on Facebook every day, but actually, I think the main thing for Cambodians in particular is all of these artifacts that are coming back. They're quite a few of them are going into the museum. So get along to the museum, see them for
Yeah.
yourselves, experience for yourselves, take pride in what's happening in Cambodia with regards to the return of its cultural heritage.
Yeah. And it's not just the
And
people that live here, but also people visiting Cambodia. Now is a
sure,
fantastic time to visit.
yeah. Now, as I said before, the museum is full to brim, full to the brim. So I'm sure, I know that there are discussions taking place about expanding the museum. But if you're up in Siem Reap, don't forget there's the Angkor National Museum as well, which is a really nice museum.
Mhm.
Albeit the sculptures in the National Museum in Phnom Penh are better, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, I haven't been to the one in Phnom Penh in a while. I will be going now after this conversation. It's been a couple of
Good.
years. But no, awesome. That it's just so it's just basically what is great so far on the Pop cast that everyone has generally everything positive to say about the movement of the country at the moment and the direction we're moving, and be it in arts and culture or I mean, the fight world, or what I mean, especially with the infrastructure also developing here. I mean, international relationships is a very exciting time for Cambodia, and I'm I feel very privileged to be a part of what's going on at the moment, and I'm sure you do as well. And I know you said, Andy, you have your Facebook page, which you have updates on. You also have your website, which I've put down there at the bottom for everyone to see, andybrouwer.co.uk. And you can keep up with all Andy's exploits and
Okay.
investigations and what he's found out. But yeah, before we finish up, Andy, is there anything you wanted to tell us that's happening in the next few weeks, or if anyone's coming to Cambodia soon, what they can see, what they should expect, or what should be on their top 3 to do?
Well, obviously, from my point of view, the top 3 would always be the temples. If you have the time, I know not everybody has the time, but if you have the time, get out to Koh because it's, as I said, it's just been added to the World Heritage list. But there is enough around Angkor for everybody to see.
Yeah,
If you're coming to Phnom Penh, definitely go to the museum. Go to the Money Museum as well. If you've not been there, that's very interesting.
I have
Um,
never been there. Where is
Okay,
it?
well, get along to the Money Museum. It's near the French Quarter, near the
Okay.
post office. Very interesting. And obviously the Royal Palace is incredibly interesting. And then, of course, you've got the Cambodian, you've got the Khmer Rouge leftovers from Tul Sleng and Chung Ek.
Yeah.
But as far as Cambodian culture is concerned, it's thriving, and the stuff that is coming back is pumping new life into
Yes.
Khmer art.
Indeed, it is. It's yeah, like I said, it's a great moment to be here. It's very exciting to see what's coming next. And Andy, thank you so much for joining us on the Pop
My pleasure.
cast. And if anyone wants to follow Andy's research or keep up to date with Angkor news, especially when it comes to arts, culture, heritage, artifacts, you can follow Andy on Facebook or on his website below. You can
Yep.
see on the ticker. Or, apparently he takes questions as well to his private Facebook. So if you have any questions in particular, just hit Andy up. But Andy, thank you so much.
Okay, Luke. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I will see you very soon. Maybe I'll run into you on the street, maybe at Burger
Okay.
Shack or something like that.
All right, mate. Thank you very much.
Take care. Thank you so much, Andy. I'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was Andy Brouwer. Once again, a massive advocate for Cambodia, Khmer culture, be it artifacts, be it art, be it anything, be it sports. He's just a fantastic advocate for the country and really does a lot of good. And what a privilege it was to have him join us this week. I'll be back next week with a guest from the property industry here in Cambodia. But you have to hold on till next week. Until then, guys, thank you so much for joining me for another POPP-Cast. And I'll see you soon.